set up here. Of course, one of the things I did that I totally forgot to set up this morning was my microphone set up, so that's why I'm off the bike for a second. But it's been a project getting this set up so that I can record my progress, record my rides, and of course I'm using Zwift. I have a Wahoo Kickr, the 2018 model that I picked up here a couple weeks ago. And the reason I have earphones in this time is because that first YouTube live that I did this on, I had background music going and I got 14 copyright strikes, which was funny. It doesn't affect the channel at all. It doesn't affect anything for me personally as far as anything to do with YouTube. It just means that that particular YouTube live was claimed by 14 different companies because of the music that was playing in the background. And, you know, joke's on them. I don't have any followers, so strike it all you want, you know, there's no revenue. But anyway, so over the last week, like I said, I've just been getting everything set up here. And getting it to where hopefully this experience, for those of you that choose to watch, is decent. Now, what I'm noticing this time around is that, man, I don't know what's going on. The bikes look like they're crashed everywhere, and my guy doesn't look like he's right, so I might be overtaxing the system also. I did just pick up the cam link from Elgato so that I can use my Vixia HFR 400 camera that I've had for a long time as a webcam, just so that this video is a little better. But it is very possible that I may be overtaxing the system, so we'll see. I'm gonna check right now and actually go to YouTube while I warm up here and see if I can tell if we're actually on or not. So it says we're live. Well, there we go. Looks like it's working. It's probably not a very good video. Like I said, everything's really looking like it's struggling, and that might possibly be because I just may have too much going on. I have a Lenovo Flex 5 laptop that I'm running this through. Like I said, I don't know the exact specs of it. I should, but hey, it is what it is, right? We'll figure this stuff out. No matter what, I've got to get the ride in. Now, this big white box that you guys are seeing above my head, that box is actually the chat from YouTube Live. So if anybody decides they want to chime in and ask questions or comment or give me suggestions, go ahead. That's one of those things where it's not really overly important. Boy, this is kind of freaking me out here with the fact that you can't see anything. I mean, that all these bikes look like they're wrecked. Now, it shouldn't be a connection error or issue because I have really good internet out here, and I am connected directly to the internet through an Ethernet cable instead of wirelessly, so that shouldn't be the issue. But Okay, so all my sensors look like they are connected. My heart rate and wattage, which is the trainer, RPM, which is the cadence sensor. So all of those things should look like they're doing fine. I do notice that something happened here in the last, since I got going, that my green screen behind me is showing. But again, it's part of the growing pains. And it's not necessary. A lot of these things are items I've just had laying around here over the years. You know, my interest in video and photography, you know, not in any kind of professional manner by any means, really just, you know, wanting to know how things work. So yeah, I've had this stuff laying around, so I picked up a few things, you know, just to get this process going, like different stands for the camera. The cam link was a bit more of an investment that I wanted to make, but hey, that's just part of it. What you're gonna, again, I'm just trying to warm up right now. I'm not doing any training plan. I'm barely getting any watts. I'm not, you know, miles per hour are terrible. But if any of you are wondering what these things are over here, obviously OAF is for the OAF life, which stands for old AF, if you know what that means. The Wahoo icon I overlaid in there, which is the trainer I'm using. Over to the far side of the screen, you'll see the Raleigh logo, which is the bike that I ride. I ride a Willard 2 gravel bike, 9-speed rear cog set. First phorm is nutrition that I'm currently using to help me in the mission 44, which is to get down to 244 pounds or a BMI of 35, minimum of 35. And just below that is my 2012 transformation, where I was able to lose, I think, 67 pounds in 8 months. Put on a little bit of muscle, obviously lost a lot of fat, and had very, very good light in the locker room of the gym, just following a workout, which is where that after picture was taken. You know, when I did that the first time around, I think it was, well, I know it was February 1st, 2012 is when I started, and I think it was September 7th or October 7th, I can't remember which, was when that final picture was taken. But anyways, it was right around 8 months is what it took me. So yeah, we definitely got an issue with Zwift this morning as far as it looking like anything interesting for anybody that's watching. Wow, it's pretty crazy. That's too bad. But I'm gonna see if I can get rid of this. Oh, wrong thing. I'm gonna see if I can get rid of this white box up here, just because nobody's on. When we get to the point where maybe we have some people following and cheering on, I'll put that back up there so that I can interact with anybody that's interested in chatting. So pretty cool little thing. I'd like to get it to where it's more transparent so that I can set it anywhere here on the screen. But for now, it's fine. Now, one of the things, if any of you are trying to figure out how to use OBS to help you stream, well, the number one rule that I've learned, and I already knew this, but for whatever reason with going live, I just didn't even consider it. But you can't have music in the background. You do not want to use any kind of music in your videos. Otherwise, you're going to get copyright strike. Now, not that it matters if you're small. but I think in the future, if you're somebody that actually grows to a decent channel size, that you're not gonna want those strikes. I can only imagine they're gonna hurt you. And so the way to get around that, so you're actually playing music while you're streaming to help keep you distracted and motivated, would be to have earphones on. I can't remember the name brand of these. They sound really, really good, and they're obviously Bluetooth. They cost me $26 at Best Buy last week, and they sound amazing. They have all the different ear tips that you'd want, including the foam ones. They've got safety tips, and I can't remember the name brand or the model or any of that stuff, but and if I get a chance, I'll put it in the description after the live is done. But they're great, man. For the price, the sale price they were on, I don't even know what they were regular, but for $26, for me it was worth a shot. And that gives me the ability to obviously listen to music through my phone, and not have it here on the YouTube live where I'm going to get any kind of a strike against me. So for those of you that haven't seen my other videos or aren't sure what you're watching here, my name is Dave Bernard. I currently weigh over 300 pounds, and I have to get down to 244 pounds or a BMI of 35 in order for me to have the umbilical surgery that I was supposed to have on January the 4th of 2019. And of course, it's also the other effect of that is that my blood sugar should be in better control at that point. And so that's obviously part of the goal too. If you guys are seeing the screen and wondering how I'm doing all this, I have a green screen behind me, which you can see remnants of up here. That's me not lining things up properly. I have some overlays on, that I'm using, but I guess get back to, I'm using OBS software in order to stream this to YouTube, which I can also stream it to other platforms such as Facebook Live, Twitch, and several more. Those are probably the 3 most popular that somebody might stream to. I'm using an Elgato Cam Link so that I can use my Vixia HF 400 camcorder by Canon, which is an old camcorder, probably can't even get anymore. I think if you got the 800, the RF 800, or the HFR 800 would probably be the cheapest one out there now, and I think it has some more features than the 400 does. But what it has, and the reason I'm able to do this with it as a camcorder, is that it has a HDMI out, and so because it has that, I'm able to actually run that through the Cam Link and use it as a webcam, so that I actually get a better picture than what I had before when I was using just the webcam off of the laptop. So I always say use what you have. Don't go spending a bunch of money when you're just trying to figure things out. But the video quality was so poor on the webcam just right on the laptop that I went ahead and made the investment just from a quality standpoint. But yeah, so I'm using OBS software to stream. That's what's allowing me to put all these different sources in, which is Blue Snowball microphone, which I've had for a very long time. The overlays, which have my before and after picture from 2012, which is a motivation for me, just as much as hopefully it's an inspiration to anybody that sees that it is possible. The first phorm logo, which is a nutrition that I'm currently using, Raleigh logo above that, which is the bike manufacturer that I'm currently riding right now. My old logo, old AF, and the Wahoo logo, which is the trainer that I'm currently using. So those are just tricks that I learned. And then the other thing that's probably noticeable that I stumbled upon was figuring out how to put the ticker in the bottom here. And so that's kind of a neat little trick that I'll do a how-to video in the future. But if you just look at scrolling ticker OBS as a search term on YouTube or on the intraweb, you should be able to figure that out yourself. But I'll try to get a video up eventually. And I do apologize for the video quality here with Zwift. I don't know if it's a Zwift issue, if it's an issue with my system, if I have a poor internet signal. Of course, if that's the case, then YouTube Live probably sucks right now, which I'm going to go ahead and try to take a look and see where we're at on that. So I do have my phone here on a little holder. So yeah, I'm looking at YouTube Live now, and it's pretty bad, I think. Is it? So I'm waving at myself. There's a significant delay, but okay. So what I'm noticing is that now that I'm checking it out here, it's not the YouTube streaming. It must be something going on with Zwift. So, or it could be the fact that it's coming off this other monitor, and that might be getting taxed too much, which I haven't had happen before when I've tested this. But so I'm running a cheap 27-inch Acer monitor that again, all this stuff I've had laying around. It wasn't something I went and bought, but it's going through the HDMI out on the laptop, and it's going through a, whatever you want to call it, a little dongle that converts it over to a VGA signal into that monitor. And maybe something's going on there. I tried to, and it could be because I did try to hook up last night a USB 3.0 to VGA, and that little device disc wasn't supported by my graphics card, is what the message I kept getting. So I removed it, and maybe that's what's caused all this. So again, I apologize to anybody that may stumble upon this video, that's probably the reason, or one of the reasons, that the Zwift app just isn't working properly. Of course, it could be something on their end too. The reason I'm thinking that it might actually be my system is that I can't even get my mouse over to that screen right now, so that would probably make sense. That's too bad. Well, hey, it is what it is, right? It's all part of the learning process, and I'm not expecting a whole lot of people or anybody to actually watch these videos at this point. A lot of them, as I work through this, I put up and then I make private so that they're just a learning opportunity for me. At the end of the day, the video isn't what's important, it's the training. One thing I do like about doing it through the Zwift app and working on the streaming and all the different technologies, that it's a distraction for sure. And so I can be riding for a very long period of time without really even recognizing that it's happening, or that I'm going through it, because I'm so distracted with everything else, which is good. Now back to the weight loss. I have not weighed myself in over a week. The first day I weighed myself, I was 313 pounds. Then a couple of days I had lost 3 or 4 pounds, and then put a couple pounds back on, and then worried more about the technology and not the riding. Now part of that was because my ass hurt so bad that just getting back, I shouldn't say bad, it wasn't that bad, but you know, obviously your body's got to get used to your training, so it just is what it is, right? God, this stinks. This is terrible. I wish this video was better for you guys, but again, like I said, it's not the video that matters, it's the training. So I'm on the Zwift companion app also now. I'm not going to worry about the YouTube live. I know I'm broadcasting. I know the only issue is the screen. I do see that there's some other things I'm going to want to work on that are distracting for me right now, which is the background sound. I do have it turned down for you, but for me, it's on too loud. You might actually hear it in the background. But again, just a learning opportunity, and the only thing that's really matters now is that I'm getting the miles and the time in. But man, I'm not even getting we definitely got some issues. I'm not even getting a reading as it relates to my Bluetooth coming off of the Kickr. So I'm gonna step down for a second and see if I can fix some of this stuff. I'm gonna leave the live up. You're not gonna see me other than my beautiful bald head right here. I'm gonna try to figure out what the heck's going on here, because this is not fun for anybody. I went ahead and moved the microphone so you can hopefully hear me if you need to. And I turned down the background noise there coming out of the speakers because that is by far too much of a distraction for me as I'm trying to talk to you. And I would turn the camera to where you could see me, but I have it on a fixed stand of super inexpensive POS, to be honest with you, stand that I picked up from Amazon. And you get what you pay for, because I think this thing was less than $10. But I want to try to figure out what's going on here. I mean, again, like I said, the miles matter more than anything else, but something's happened. You know what? It's a good chance that it's these that the thing that's getting in the way here is these Bluetooth speakers, because that, or earphones, because that is something that is I just introduced and never tested. So maybe that's what's causing the issue here. But I do have another adapter coming so that I can actually, so this camera up here will actually be something I could actually tilt down in the future. Another cheap little thing. Hopefully it's not cheaply made, but it probably is, because again, you get what you pay for. So I don't know what's going on with this, so we're gonna move it over to the other screen and see if that helps at all. So I apologize that you can't see anything right now. It's just because I'm just trying to figure out what's going on with it. And it's 7:19 in the morning on January the 17th right now, and I only plan on riding until 8 o'clock at the longest. But man alive, this is terrible. Well, that didn't do anything. So what are we gonna do here? I think what we're gonna do is we're just gonna go ahead and get out of this and see if we can't. I'm gonna go ahead and save it just because I want to get credit for the couple of miles that I was able to ride. But then we'll start it back up. Now the other thing that I did different this time is when I started everything up, you know what? There might be a way for you to see me, not that you care, but. Anyways, so the reason I took that off is because the house is a mess. I've been working more on getting this set up than worrying about what I look like. So yeah, see, I can't even get this thing to respond. So it could be a Zwift issue. It could be a screen issue that I talked about. It could be, you know, with the adapter. It could be. Could just be the computer not be, you know, something going on there. Not sure. Not sure. It's unfortunate because I'd rather be riding right now, but I also am slightly obsessed with the technology, probably more so than the training, but this is just a different way for me to be motivated to go ahead and train. So I'm hoping once I get it all figured out and everything's smooth and all that, that I'll have some of my friends and family watching and cheering me on and making me accountable to being on the bike and riding and sharing with everybody. And like I said, I don't feel like I really have a choice. I've got to get down to that 244 pounds in order to have that surgery, because I definitely won't be weightlifting until I have the surgery. Well, let's do the thing that nobody likes to do. Well, that's a good sign. So I'm going to my task manager currently, and so to shut this down, because it just won't let me shut it down. And that came up very quickly as far as the task manager, so that's a good sign. That means the computer's working okay. It just might be struggling working with this screen, which it never has before. So I mean, I'm a little bit surprised, but it's something I'm gonna have to work on off screen. Well, I say the task manager came up quickly. It sort of did, but now it's So the initial screen came up quick, but once I clicked task manager, it says not responding. So there's a good chance that this cam link is also causing my computer to be overly taxed. And I think I've heard that from some people, that it takes up a lot of resources. And if that's the case, I just won't be able to use it, which again, you know, well, that would actually be unfortunate, because this was an investment that I really didn't want to make, but I thought getting the video quality made sense. All right, so finally we're able to get that turned off. Man, what a bummer. Because who wants to watch, you know, look at it's a nice picture, but who wants to look at a background? I mean, that wouldn't be super interesting, but that might be the route I have to go. But we'll see. And I'll look into it. It might be something that, you know, I can fix this problem quickly with maybe some more RAM or something like that. I might not have to make a ginormous investment to get this to work properly. But we'll see. I mean, I don't know. I do want to say that, you know, there's a long story behind my health going downhill. So I am definitely out of shape. So even just barely moving on the bike for now is good for me. Getting me back acclimated, not getting my heart rate up too high isn't necessarily a bad thing. See, you can see on the screen now that even Zwift isn't responding. But I'm going to go ahead and go back to the bike. So part of how I'm doing this is, if if anybody's interested, is that I've got one of these trays set up that you can put your computer on that I bought a long time ago, and it's in bad shape, to be honest with you. It's not pretty, but I've got that set up here next to the bike, so I'm able to actually work my mouse when I need to. But as you can see, there's still an issue. Zwift doesn't want to talk to everything, so it's going to be a process, but I want to get them out regardless of what else is going on here. So let's log back in. Obviously, it's connected to the Wahoo pretty clearly. So there's a process that goes through when it's just getting started, which is you see the Bluetooth icon up there, and it's trying to pair everything. So I'm picking up my cadence since I did earlier too, which was very odd to me. And it didn't pick up my heart rate earlier, which also was very odd. But whatever. We're just gonna hopefully get back on the horse and get riding. See, it's not connecting to my. The reason I'm sitting there right now is it's not connecting to my trainer for some odd reason. So maybe that's a Bluetooth issue, but definitely something going on there. Don't know. I do not know. I wish I did. Because it's irritating. That's weird. Alright, well now it's saying it is. Okay, well now it's got me, and of course now you can be moving, not that again. So this is part of learning. I mean, I don't care what you do. Things don't always go in, and you just got to keep working through them and figuring them out. Now, one of the solutions that I may go to, because there's a very good chance that this laptop just isn't meant to do this. Not a good chance. This laptop's not meant to do this much work. So that's why you're not seeing. That's why I think you're seeing some of the struggle. I'm just asking it to do too much, and so I can always pick up a desktop that has the right resources. Oh, there you go. Zwift just said, we're done. We're not working for you. We're shutting down. So I don't know what that was all about. That sucks. And the reason that sucks is not that I can't ride, which I'm riding at a resistance that's probably works for me anyways. But man, that stinks. But I have no. So the way that the Zwift app works with the Wahoo trainer is that it's an immersive program. So if you're going uphill on the trainer, you're going uphill, or I'm sorry, on the app or on the Zwift map there, then the trainer reacts to that and gives you more resistance. And so the program and the trainer work together. But for me, it's even the very, very little bit of resistance is fine for me. I'm just trying to get to where I can move and get used to this, so I can put in some serious training in the mornings before I go to work, or possibly at night if I miss those trainings. But you know, there's a lot more to do. You know, I'm not even though I'm breathing heavy, I'm not taxed as it relates to the workout. What the biggest part of this training for the cycling for me is getting my body used to sitting on this seat for long periods of time. And when I'm in better shape, riding wise, you know, I can ride for a couple hours, no problem, out on the road. And well, I don't want to say no problem, it's still a problem, but I can do it. And so, but that takes a little bit of time to get your body used to that. And by body, I mean ass. See, it still doesn't want to talk, so hey, whatever. I'm just going to try to get the training in and not worry so much. Now, the other option that I have would be to just actually run it off of my phone and not even mess around with the computer side of it. So that's doable. Probably boring for anybody that might possibly watch this, but that is definitely doable. As a matter of fact, because today is more about writing than it is about going live, I think I might try to do that. Yeah, what a bummer. I mean, this was a long period of time getting all these things to sync up together to be able to do this, and obviously, as you can imagine, me spending a lot of time trying to figure out how all this works. But hey, that's just the way it is sometimes, right? All right, well, that worked a lot better for me. So everything synced up pretty fast and easy on the on my phone app. Unfortunately, you can't see it. So, but if you go to the Zwift app, and if you have the Zwift app, then you'll be able to find me either, I don't know if it's under D Bernard or if it's or if I have it under Oath Life there also, but you can see where I'm at. Not moving very fast, but I'm moving, and that's really all I care about right now. Now, the thing that I dig about the Zwift app is that I'm able to, you know, ride with other people. I mean, eventually get involved in some races. You know, by the sounds of the trainer, I think I've got to work on getting it set up properly, or getting my bike adjusted a little bit. Just the sound alone tells me that it's not adjusted quite properly, but I'm not a bike mechanic either, so it's another skill I'm gonna have to teach myself in order to do this. And again, I apologize that you can't see this on screen anymore, but there's definitely an issue with my setup that I'm gonna have to figure out. But now I'm actually getting some training in, which I can't even see what time it is anymore. But my alarm will go off at 8 o'clock, so I can start getting ready for work. Let's see here. Oh, there's a clock. And my chair's in the way, so I can't really see it, but 7:34 in the morning, so I've got 26 minutes I can ride. It is a balmy 19.8 degrees Fahrenheit here in the Great Lakes state. So that's where you just, you know, it's where you love having this indoor trainer to do this. Now, the reason I'm choosing cycling to help me with my weight loss is because I have a hernia, and so I have to be careful with what I do. And I got the Wahoo Kickr because I don't trust myself. Let's just put it that way. So because I don't trust myself, I know that if I go into a gym that has a bike, exercise bike, elliptical trainer, treadmill, and all other types of cardio type equipment, that eventually I would lift weight, and I would tell myself, well, I'll lift lightweight and a lot of reps, keep myself safe, you know, from injuring myself further. But the fact is, I know myself well enough at 47 years old that I will lift. My ego will get in the way. I'll put more weight on than I should, and I will injure myself without question. And so I love cycling. I've been riding a bike just like you guys my whole life. I like to think maybe I've been riding it a little bit differently than most people, which is that I mean, at the age of, I think, 7 or 8 years old, I was riding it for miles into town on my own because I lived out in the country and was left home alone with my sister, who was a few years older than me. And back then, I don't know what she was doing. I think she was in a room most of the time, I think, when we were left home alone. And me being a boy, I was out exploring. And that exploring eventually turned into me riding into town. I remember in that same time period, I think I may have been close to 9 years old, that, and I lived in Frankenmuth, Michigan, and they had just built a McDonald's, and it was on the complete opposite side of Frankenmuth from where I lived. And who knows how I saved the money or where I got the money from, or if I even had money. I just remember riding my bike all the way to McDonald's. And, you know, right now that's not very far, but to a 7, 8, or 9 year old, maybe even 10, I don't know how old I was, but that was quite a bit of time or distance. When I moved to Lapeer, of course, I lived on a lake, and I don't know how far around. I think that was 4 or 5 miles around, or might have been less. It felt like a long distance. And of course, we have friends all over the lake. And how did we get to those friends? On our bicycle. How did we get down to the park where most of us met up and played? Usually on a bicycle. How did we go on our very long adventure, 20 miles or so, around one of the other neighboring lakes on our bicycle? Got our ass whooped for it, but we did. So riding a bike for me is not something new. I think I got my first competitive mountain bike in either 1998, I think it was around 1998. Might have been before that, I'm not sure. And that was a Specialized FSR Pro Comp. Before that, I had a GT mountain bike. I can't remember what it was. I think I bought it because it looked cool more than anything else. But when I got the Specialized, you know, I entered a couple different races, and I was pretty large even then. And I was too young and very egotistical, I would say, at that point in my life, to handle being so shitty compared to everybody else. Matter of fact, I think I remember riding Kensington Park near Detroit, breaking my chain about 5 miles into the race, and walking all the way back with that bike and saying, F this, I'm not doing this again, you know. nice people trying to help me, and I was like, nope, I'm gonna walk. Stubborn dumbass, you know. But cycling was a part of my life when I was young. Started to get back into it when I was in my 20s. Didn't do anything for years as far as, you know, health. And when I started getting back into things, you know, I didn't have anything expensive. I bought one of those GMC Denali's on Craigslist. This would have been probably back in 2012 when I lost the weight. It's part of the exercise regimen that I was under. And that was a decent bike. It was a great bike to get started with, I thought. I'd done a lot of research on reviews, and hey, it lived up to what it was supposed to do. It served its purpose, and I moved on to some different road bikes and mountain bikes, and then I ended up here in a gravel bike. And the reason I went to a gravel bike was that it was kind of in my opinion, a hybrid between a mountain bike and a road bike. Now, road bikes I personally like because you can get going fast. I think you can challenge yourself. There's a couple of courses that I ride that, you know, I can pay attention to the time and try to beat that time. And so I really enjoyed it. The downside to a road bike is that around here in Michigan, at least this part of Michigan I live in, a lot of the riding is done on these rails to trails deals. And some of them just have a compacted or even in some places loose gravel. It's not a concrete or asphalt surface, and so road bikes just it doesn't cut it. I mean, you can do it, but it's not enjoyable. And so then of course you would turn over to a mountain bike, but now on a mountain bike you're in a different seat position, different geometry. Doing that longer distance just is not what they're intended for. And matter of fact, I have a section of the Pollyant Trail that's here in Lapeer that you can only ride a mountain bike. If your choice was between a road bike and a mountain bike, the mountain bike would be the only option. And again, it's kind of the only thing you can ride, other than, you know, because of the tire size, but not as enjoyable when you're trying to do what I was trying to do or what I like to do. So the gravel bike makes the most sense. Now you'll see the difference between, not the difference, but you'll hear cyclocross bikes and gravel bikes as two different bikes. I would say go for a gravel bike. The geometry set up for you to ride longer distances. If you get into a cyclocross bike, those are meant for you to get on and off all the time, because those courses are more of a mountain bike type course, and you're gonna get off the bike and run up different hills or through different obstacles. And so cyclocross is a different sport than what a traditional gravel bike would be used for. But the advantage of a gravel bike is that you are able to ride on, well, looks like we must be going uphill. It's getting harder. So yeah, my bike's definitely got to get adjusted here. Anyways, so the gravel bike is definitely set up to ride on those multiple different surfaces. So, for instance, one of the trails over near Port Huron, Michigan, is the Wadhams to Avoca Trail, and that has not an equal amount, but I would say 60 to 70. I think 60% would be a paved surface, and the rest of it would be, the rest of it would be on a, the rest of it is on a compacted gravel for the most part. And I rode that on my road bike quite a bit. Not fun when you hit that sand and in compacted gravel. But on a gravel bike, perfect. I mean, I can't go as fast as I could on the road bike, but overall distance, which I think is around 20 miles or so, and that's if you're going back and forth from Wadham's Road to Avoca and back. But yeah, that's something you can do on a gravel bike very easily. And so what a gravel bike does is gives you the option to, even for myself right here, to go right outside my door, hit the road, hit all the dirt roads around here, and not feel restricted and not be restricted. Now this has a 700cc wheels on it, or tire, so it's a 700, I think 40 is the width, where a lot of your road bikes are, I think a lot of your road bikes are around 22 or 25 if I remember correctly. I could be wrong, but significantly obviously narrower. And then a lot of your mountain bikes run anywhere from around that 38 or 40, probably up to the, I would assume 50, I don't know. I'm not a bike expert by any means, I'm just kind of guessing. I know what this bike has, because I took a long time getting to the point of buying it. And honestly, if anybody was wondering why did I buy this bike over any of the other brands, I really like this Poseidon bike that's out there now. It only costs $600. I say I like it. I think I like it. I've never ridden it. So if by some small miracle Poseidon is watching this video, please send me one and I will do a full review on it. But anyways, my number one criteria in purchasing a bike was, could I finance that purchase? That was it. And not only could I finance that purchase, and this is just at the time, I wasn't in the position I'm in now financially, but could I do it through a phorm, which is a credit company. And the cool thing about a phorm is that you can actually request credit without them pulling a hard inquiry on your credit report, which is, for a lot of people, very important. So you're not taking a risk of having a hard inquiry. They do what's called a soft pull, and I would guess they also use LexisNexis as a source to decide your credit worthiness. And so you can pick up different items. A couple years ago, I bought the first time I used it. No, the second time I used it. I bought, at Christmas time, one of my daughters really wanted an iPad. And so I went to Gazelle, which has certified refurbished, and picked her up an iPad and used a phorm to make that purchase. And so the terms are decent, rates aren't great, but in a pinch it helps. And so I had bought this bike through a phorm, and there were other companies that had a phorm on there as far as saying they offered it, but it didn't work. And I can't remember the name of some of them, but so my objective was, can I use a phorm and to purchase the bike? And so once that criteria was met, then looking, do they have gravel bikes, and are the reviews decent on the bike itself? And so the Raleigh Willard 2 met all that criteria. And of course, I could have bought a more expensive bike, but I didn't want to. So I didn't want to. It's that simple. I didn't want to spend more money than I spent. Though in the future I would like to have better equipment, but and maybe that'll be something that's something I reward myself with. Maybe that's something when I get myself down to where I can have my surgery, that after I recover from my surgery, I pick up a more competitive bike or something that's got a little bit better components on it. And any of you that are looking to purchase a bike, you know, this is a lot of different friends talking to me over the years, and you know, I'm not obsessed with cycling by any means, so I don't know all the ins and outs. So you have to rely on other people that you know to tell you things. And of course, so listening to my friends that are cyclists or know more than I do, the number one thing that you're looking for on a bike is the components. What components are they using? Are they using super cheap components, or are they using quality components? And that's such a loaded comment, because to most people, when you go component by component, you're not even sure what that even means. But when you get on a bike that's got great components, like my Specialized FSR Pro Comp did, there's a huge difference between that and any other bike. And so it's not something that matters in the beginning, but down the road it does. It just makes the ride smoother, the shifting easier, the whole experience better. So you always should actually go to a bike shop and let them help you. Don't try to do it on your own. But I digress. Anyways, it is 7:51 a.m. I'm getting to my last 9 minutes. I didn't get a whole lot of sweat in today. Had a lot of technical difficulties. If you watched any part of the slide in the beginning, you'll know that things just didn't work out the way I wanted to. If you're on the Zwift app watching me, I mean, it looks like I'm barely moving. My shifting is not working very well, so there's got to be some adjustments there. But you know what? It's better than just laying in bed. At least I'm up doing it. I don't know what my weight is yet today or over the last week. I'm sure it's probably 0 lost, probably even some gained. I didn't eat well the last week. I ate late at night, and even though I think I'm eating okay, I'm almost definitely overeating, which is probably my biggest issue, which is eating too much. Portion size is a problem for me. But we'll get through it. We're going to get to that weight eventually. Hopefully it doesn't take a year, but it could, and that's okay. The goal right now is to have it happen this summer, I think, but I might even have to wait until next year. So maybe the goal is January of 2020, in the wintertime, when it doesn't matter as much. Maybe I'll have the surgery then, because it's going to take quite a few weeks to recover from that. And I'm just going to make it my goal for 2019 to get down to that weight. I don't really know what an ideal weight for me is, to be honest with you. BMI for my body type doesn't exactly match up with what is out there, so I almost have to add 10 points on top of my BMI to match up with what the charts say. So if they say that a 20 BMI is where somebody my age needs to be, then that really means 30 for me. If 25 is acceptable, then that means 35 is acceptable at the highest end. So, and that's only just because I'm built wider than an average person. And so, everybody's different. And if you're not sure where you should be at, talk to a doctor and try to get an idea where your ideal BMI is. As opposed to weight. You can convert that to weight very easily once you know what the BMI that you should be at, and try to keep that as the healthy number that you need to work towards. Of course, blood sugar levels, blood pressure, cholesterol, all the other factors that you need to keep an eye on are important, but this weight is just as much as important. And it's funny because when you're worrying about transformation, when we're as far as like weight loss transformation or body transformation, eating is 80% of the battle. But it kind of is and it kind of isn't. Because you're going to eat. You're either going to eat bad or you're going to eat good. You're either going to eat enough or too much or not enough. I mean, there's a lot of factors as it relates to eating. But that other factor is exercise, which is the hardest thing to do for most people, for a lot of people. In my case, you know, I work 8-10 hours a day. 10-12 hours a day. 8 to 10 of that is sitting at a desk. And so physical activity is more challenging for a lot of us these days in the computer age than anything else. You know, we're sitting on our ass. And so yeah, diet's important and it does affect you, but getting up and moving is more important for most of us because we don't do it. You know, we get up, we go to work, we sit at a desk, we come home, we sit down and eat, we sit down and unwind. we don't move, we don't exercise the way we're supposed to. So it's the thing that you got to figure out. Are you going to go to a gym? Are you going to get a trainer? Are you going to, you know, get a treadmill, get an exercise bike, do what I'm doing? You know, what are you going to do? But you have to do something, and that's the sad truth, is that the experts out there, a lot of them that are experts, have never, ever, ever, ever been through it, and if they have, it's been for a short period of time. It's similar to me back in 2012. You know, people trying to ask me, well, what do I do and how do I do it? Well, I can tell you what I did. I can tell you, you know, but a lot of these experts don't do that. They don't say, well, I only know what I did, and I only know what worked for me at the time. And oh, by the way, I didn't tell you all the story. You know, those people are not, they don't have enough time in the game to truly help you. And so, though they've got some decent resources as far as information, you have to be responsible for that information, your information. You have to get it. And if nothing else, just get off your ass and move. You know, and don't get fixated on what you think you should look like and be mad because you don't look like that. I mean, I would assume most of you guys don't know me, but if my goal in life was to look like Brad Pitt, it's not happening. It's not happening in the face. It's definitely not happening in the body. My body is never going to look, no matter how much fat I lose, like a Brad Pitt. This isn't going to happen. And if it did, if I even got remotely close, then I'd probably be hours away from the grave. you know, it's just not how my body's meant to be. So I'm not worrying about that. Worry about your BMI. Worry about all of your other blood sugar, your blood levels, your sugar level, your cholesterol, your, you know, where's your heart at? Worry about all that. Getting those things right. Eating right for that. Worry about how much acid is in the food that you're eating. Worry about alkaline. Worry about supplementing the right supplements, using, you know, protein and things like that if you're not getting enough of that, or if you're not getting quality sources, you know. But at the end of the day, just get off your ass and move, right? So it's 7:59. We're just about done. When it hits 8 o'clock, I'm assuming my alarm's going to go off and we're going to end this live. I do thank anybody that watched any part of it. I do apologize for the fact that the Zwift app just didn't work on the stream here. But if you sat through any of this, thank you very much. And I promise you this will do nothing but get better. Anyways, hope everybody has a great day. And we will see you later.